3 years. After spiritual energy revived, the whole world was cultivating. Only I was left in the dark. My coworkers flew on swords. I squeezed into the subway. The whole world was cultivating. Only I was working overtime. My name is Lin Fan, 28 years old, a senior planner at Shangxi Advertising Company. By senior, I mean this: long years on the job, low pay, lots of work. Today was my 996 straight day of overtime. Yeah, you heard that right. 996 days. Not the Ninanisics work schedule. I mean, 996 straight days without a break. I don't even know how I survived. Probably on expired rice balls from the convenience store downstairs, and the instant coffee in the break room that's always diluted with water. At 2:17 in the morning, I was the only one left in the office. The PowerPoint on my screen had been revised to version 108. The client's request had gone from "it needs to be creative" to "it needs spiritual energy." Then from "it needs spiritual energy" to "it needs to catch the eye." And finally, to "I can't really explain it, but you get what I mean, right?" I didn't get it. I really didn't get it, but I was still revising it. The moon outside was big and round. Moonlight poured in and fell across my pale face. I rubbed my eyes and kept typing. Right then, something flew past the window. I looked up and froze for a second. Probably a bird. Then I kept working on the PowerPoint. A little while later, something flew past the window again. This time, it was 2 people standing on a sword, whooshing out of sight. In an instant, I rubbed my eyes. I was probably just too tired and hallucinating. Then I kept working on the PowerPoint. At 3 in the morning, I finally finished version 108 and emailed it to the client, then packed up and got ready to go home. When I walked out of the company building, the streets were empty, the streetlights were dim, and the wind that blew over was a little cold. I yawned and walked toward the subway station. At the intersection, I saw someone standing on top of a street lamp. Yeah, standing on top of a street lamp. He stood there, stiff and straight, hands clasped behind his back, robes fluttering like some kind of street lamp decoration. I stopped and looked up at him. He looked down at me, too. We stared at each other for 3 seconds. Then I silently looked away and kept walking toward the subway station. Psycho, climbing that high in the middle of the night. Wasn't he afraid of falling to his death? The subway station was empty, too, with only a few people waiting for the last train. I leaned against a pillar, and my eyelids started fighting each other. There was an old man next to me scrolling on his phone, with the volume blaring out loud. Today's news: the head of Kunlun sect has successfully broken through to the Tribulation Crossing stage and become the 3rd Tribulation Crossing mighty expert in the world. The Celestial Masters Manor of Longhu Mountain has announced that on the first day of next month, it will host the 3rd anniversary celebration of spiritual energy revival, and all fellow Taoists are welcome to attend. Experts remind cultivators below the foundation establishment stage not to attempt sword flight. This month alone, there have already been 17 swordfall accidents. I listened to it hazily and thought news nowadays was getting ridiculously made up. The old man glanced at me and smiled. Just got off work, kid. Yeah. Which sect are you from? Shangxi Advertising. The old man nodded. Advertising sect. Never heard of it. Small sect. Huh. I didn't have the energy to explain, so I just gave him a vague yeah. Then the old man said, "Judging from how you look, your cultivation isn't very high, right? You haven't even reached foundation establishment." I haven't. Young people need to work hard. In times like these, how can you not cultivate? My grandson reached foundation establishment last year, and now he can fly to school on a sword. No more worrying about traffic jams. I thought, flying to school on a sword, wouldn't the traffic police stop him? But all I said out loud was, yeah. The subway arrived. I got on and found a corner seat. There were only a few scattered people in the car. Across from me sat a young man in Taoist robes, meditating with his eyes closed. There was a faint glow moving around his body. I looked at him, then at the briefcase in my hand. Suddenly, I had a strange feeling like the whole world was doing the same thing, and I was the only one shut out of it. But I was too tired to think deeply about it. I got off at my stop, went home, and collapsed into bed. The next day was Saturday, but I still had to go to work. The client said version 108 didn't work and wanted version 109. I headed out with 2 dark circles under my eyes and happened to run into the neighbor next door. His last name was Jang. He was in his 30s, and he used to be a programmer. We had complained about 99 Essex together before, but I hadn't seen much of him in the last 6 months. So I thought he'd switch jobs. Now that I ran into him, I almost didn't recognize him. He was wearing a white robe, his long hair draped over his shoulders, and his whole bearing was different. The craziest part was that he was standing on a sword under his feet, hovering 3 inches off the ground. I looked at him, and he looked at me. Lin, Fan. He spoke first. Brother, Jang, why do you still look like this? He looked me up and down. Still not at foundation establishment. What foundation establishment? He froze for a second, then laughed. Don't tell me you still don't know. Know what? Spiritual energy revival. He floated a little closer to me. It started 3 years ago. The whole world is cultivating. You didn't know. I froze. Spiritual energy revival. Cultivation. You mean? I pointed at the sword under his feet. That's real. Of course, it's real. He looked proud. At mid-foundation establishment. Now, sword flight is basic stuff. Look. Whoosh. He shot up and flew in a circle through the hallway. I tilted my head up to look at him, and my mind went blank. What about you? He landed again. What realm are you in now? No realm at all. He froze for a second, then patted my shoulder. It's fine. It's not too late to start now. Want me to introduce you to a sect? I know people from Qingyun sect. I can recommend you. No need. I looked at my watch. In a rush to get to the office. He froze. Today's Saturday. I know, but the client wants the proposal revised. His expression turned complicated, like he was looking at an idiot. Fan. He said, seriously, spiritual energy has revived. Cultivation is what's important. Now, that job of yours, I can't help it. I gave a bitter smile. I have a mortgage to pay, a car loan to pay. If I don't work, I'll starve. He fell silent. After a long while, he said, then, good luck. Yeah, good luck. I turned and went downstairs. When I walked out of the building, I looked back once. My neighbor stood on his sword, floating in mid-air, looking down at his phone. The sunlight fell on him, and his whole body seemed to glow. I lowered my head and looked at myself. Me, wrinkled shirt, yellowing collar, and the briefcase in my hand. All of a sudden, I felt like an idiot. No, not an idiot, like someone living in a different world. After that day, I started paying attention to everything around me, and then I discovered the whole world really was cultivating. Coworker Xiao Liu used to order takeout with me every day. Now, Shed switched to pills. She said they were qi gathering pills. 1 pill was equal to 3 meals, and you didn't even need to digest them. You absorbed them directly. I asked her where she bought them, and she said her sect handed them out. You couldn't buy them outside. Our boss, President Wang, used to just curse people out in meetings. Now, he lectured on the Tao in meetings. Stuff like the resonance between heaven and man, and the Tao follows nature, one set after another. Everyone below him even had to take notes and write reflections to hand in. I asked the coworker next to me, what's a reflection? The coworker whispered, it's cultivation insight. If you hand it in, you can exchange it for contribution points. Then, what's a contribution point? You can trade them in your sect for pills, techniques, and magical artifacts. I fell silent. So, the company was already a sect. I had just been writing reflections for PowerPoints this whole time, and never once managed to trade them for pills. The most ridiculous one was the security guard downstairs. I used to think he was just an ordinary old man who sat in the security booth reading newspapers every day. But One day, when I came back from overtime, at 4 in the morning, I saw him meditating outside the booth. His whole body was glowing gold, and there was vaguely the illusion of a lotus above his head. He opened his eyes, saw me, and smiled. Working overtime. Again, kid. Yeah. He stood up, walked over to me, and handed me a pill. Gathering pill. Good for your body. I froze. Sir, this, take it. He patted my shoulder. You poor kid. Such a hard life. Overtime. Every day. And you didn't even know. Spiritual energy revived. I just feel bad for you. So, am giving you a hand. I took the pill, my heart full of mixed feelings. Sir, what realm are you in? Me. He smiled. Just divine transformation. Just divine transformation. ID. Looked it up online. The cultivation realms were chi, refining, foundation, establishment, golden core, nascent soul, divine transformation, and tribulation crossing. Divine transformation was already top tier. A divine transformation expert was working security at our company. Sir, why are you working security here? Quiet cultivation. He stood with his hands behind his back and looked at the horizon. Tempering the heart in the mortal world is the best way to sharpen the Tao heart. Besides, your company has good feng shui. Therese, a spiritual vein underground. So cultivating here gets twice the results for half the effort. So, in the whole company, I was the only one who had actually come here to work. After that day, the old security guard started teaching me cultivation. First, let's test your spiritual root. He took out a jade slip and had me hold it. I held the jade slip and waited for a long time. Nothing happened. The old man frowned. Try again. I tried again. Still nothing. The old man's expression turned grave. Lin Fan, your case is, what is it? You have a mortal body. What's a mortal body? It means you don't have a spiritual root. The old man sighed. A 1 in 10,000. No. 1/900 million. Trash. Physique. I fell silent. So, I can't cultivate. In theory, you can, but it's very hard. The old man said, a mortal body's speed of absorbing spiritual energy is only 1% of a normal person's. If a normal person cultivates for 1 year, you'd need 100 years. I looked at the pill in my hand and suddenly felt like it wasn't so appealing anymore. Seeing my expression, the old man comforted me. It's okay. There are legends of mortal bodies cultivating to immortality, too. There was supposedly someone called Zhang Sanfeng who might have had a mortal body. That's wuxia, not cultivation. Close enough. I gave a bitter smile. This path of cultivation was already over before it even began, but I wasn't willing to give up. That night, I sat in my rented room, looking at the moonlight outside the window, and suddenly felt exhausted. 996 days. A full 996 days. Every day, I left early and came back late, working overtime, getting a meager salary, paying outrageous rent. The clients' demands were endless. The boss's emotional manipulation never stopped, and the PowerPoint versions were beyond counting. I thought this was just life, but it turned out the whole world was cultivating, and I was the only one working overtime. Why? Why was I working so hard and still amounting to nothing? Why could they fly on swords while I had to squeeze into the subway? Why could they eat pills while I could only eat takeout? Why could they go into seclusion to break through while I could only stay up late revising PowerPoints? The more I thought about it, the angrier I got, and the angrier I got, the more I thought about it. Right then, ding, my phone rang. I picked it up and saw a system notification. No, not a system notification. A pop-up ID never seen before had appeared on my phone screen. System has detected that you have worked overtime continuously for 996 days. Your rage value has reached maximum. 9,999 out of 9,999. Current rage value is sufficient to destroy the universe. Release it now. I froze. What the hell was this? Rage value. Destroy the universe. I rubbed my eyes, thinking I was hallucinating from exhaustion, but the pop-up was still there. There was also a line of small print below it. Detected that host has a mortal body physique and cannot cultivate normally. System is automatically launching alternative planthy workplace cultivation system. Workplace cultivation ranks. Intern probationary employee, full employee core staff, supervisor manager director, vice president CEO board of directors, founding partner. Your current rank, full employee. Old hand with 996 days on the job. Unlocked techniques. 1. Sleepless. Tao, body, passive, after working continuously for more than 24 hours, automatically absorbs coworkers' resentment and converts it into cultivation. 2. Word, spirit, art, PowerPoint, active. When writing a PowerPoint, there is a chance for the contents of the proposal to become reality. 3. Heart Sutra of 10,000 arguments, passive. When facing unreasonable demands from clients, the stability of your Tao heart increases by 1,000%. 4. Overtime, scripture, core technique. For every hour of overtime, rage value +1. After more than 12 consecutive hours of overtime, rage value doubles. I stared at the screen, my mind completely blank. So, why Ki Sao Ti, even though I had no spiritual root? All the overtime ID worked for the past 3 years had been turned into rage value. 996 days. Each day, more than 12 hours. Could that rage value really destroy the universe? At the same time, a major event was taking place in the cultivation world. Kunlun Sect Council Hall. Sect Master Ching Suzy sat in the main seat with a grim expression. Everyone, the latest news. His voice was low. The world-ending great demon Hundun has awakened. The hall burst into an uproar. Hundun, an ancient fiend beast. According to legend, it was a being capable of devouring heaven and earth. The last time it appeared was 30,000 years ago. Back then, it took the combined strength of the entire cultivation world just to barely seal it. Now, it had awakened. How long can the seal still hold? Someone asked. At most, 3 days. Ching Shuzi said, 3 days from now, when Hundun breaks the seal and emerges, heaven and earth will be destroyed, and no one will escape. Then, what do we do? Summon all the major sects and discuss a countermeasure. The news spread out, and the whole cultivation world exploded. Qingyun sect urgently summoned all disciples above the golden core stage. Hundun is coming. Everyone prepare for battle. At Zixiao sect, the sect master announced maximum alert on the spot. At Fengyue Valley, the Valley Master began distributing life-saving pills. At Yunmeng Sect, the Sect Master directly brought the core disciples into a secret realm to hide. The entire cultivation world was filled with panic. Everyone was on edge. 3 days later, Hundun broke the seal and emerged. It was even more terrifying than the legends said. Its body was as huge as a mountain range, wrapped in chaotic energy, and wherever it passed, everything was devoured. The first to face it was Kunlun Sect. 3,000 Golden Core disciples set up the Heavenly Dipper formation, with Sect Master Ching Shuzi personally overseeing it. Hundun opened its huge mouth and swallowed half the formation in one bite. The second to face it was Qingyun Sect. The Sect Master led 12 nascent soul elders and used the sect's supreme technique, the Qingyun Sword Art. Hundun exhaled a breath of chaotic energy, and all 12 elders were gravely injured on the spot. The third, the fourth, the fifth, one sect after another was defeated. In less than half a day, the cultivation world had already suffered more than half its total casualties. In the end, the survivors retreated to Kunlun Mountain. Ching Shuzi stood on the mountain peak, looking at Hundun approaching in the distance, his face ashen. Heaven truly means to destroy our cultivation world. Everyone was silent. Despair spread through the crowd. Right then, a beam of golden light suddenly flew in from the horizon. Sect Master, something's happening. Ching Shuzi looked up. The golden light got closer and closer, then, finally, landed in front of him. It was a letter. There was only one sentence written on it. World-ending threat detected. System has automatically activated emergency response protocol, searching for nearby unit with rage value exceeding limits. Target locked. Shangxi Advertising Company. Lin Fan. Full employee. Rage. Value. 9,999. Recommendation. Seek assistance. Qing Shuzi froze. Shangxi Advertising Company. Lin Fan. Rage value. 9,999. What was this? At the same time, I was squeezing into the subway. 8 in the morning. Subway, line 2, packed with people. I was crushed into a corner by the crowd, my face pressed against the glass, struggling to breathe. 2 people next to me were chatting. Did you hear? Hundun has emerged. I did. My master had me pack my things overnight yesterday. Said, we're getting ready to run. Run where? Hundun's going to devour all heaven and earth. Where can you even run? True. Sigh. 1,000 years of cultivation. And in the end, we still can't escape death. I listened silently and thought, didn't spiritual energy revival start only 3 years ago? Where did you get 1,000 years of cultivation from? Besides, if people with 1,000 years of cultivation can't beat it, what can an overtime office drone like me do? The train reached my stop. I squeezed my way out and walked toward the company. Passing by a pill shop, I saw a long line outside the entrance. Limited release of Qi gathering pills. Limit 2 per person. Foundation establishment pills are in stock. Hurry, boss. I want 10 spirit recovery pills. I looked at the line, then at my wallet. Forget it. ID. Rather just go to the office. At least the company had free coffee. When I walked into the company building, the old security guard was standing at the entrance. The moment he saw me, his eyes lit up. Lin Fan. Morning, sir. Wait a second. He grabbed me and looked me up and down. That aura on you. What is it? I looked down at myself. Sweat. I didn't shower last night. No. He frowned. It's rage. Such heavy rage. I thought about it, maybe from being squeezed in the subway this morning. The old man was silent for a while, then said, Hundun has emerged. You know that, right? I heard about it on the subway just now. What do you think about it? I thought for a moment, what does it have to do with me? I can't cultivate. The old man stared at me for a long time. Then he smiled. You're right. He said, it has nothing to do with you. Go on. Go to work. I nodded and walked into the elevator. The moment the elevator doors closed, I saw the old man take out a jade slip and speak into it. It's confirmed. The target is at the company. Rage value is normal. You may proceed. I thought, who's the old man talking to? But the elevator had already gone up. In the office, I turned on my computer and started revising version 109 of the PowerPoint. This time, the client's request was even more abstract. It needs spiritual energy. It needs feeling. It needs to look high-end at first glance. I stared at the screen, my head swelling like a bucket. What did needs spiritual energy even mean? What did needs feeling mean? What did needs to look high-end at first glance mean? Why don't you demonstrate it for me? Right then, my phone rang again. That pop-up appeared again. Detected that your rage value is continuing to rise. Current rage value 10,023. Limit exceeded. System notice. Rage overflow may cause accidental injury. It is recommended that you release it as soon as possible. I looked at the pop-up, then at the PowerPoint on my screen. Then I tapped remind me later. I'll finish revising the PowerPoint first. Halfway through, it suddenly got dark outside the window. I looked up and froze. Outside the window, a gigantic claw covered half the sky. How big was that claw? About as big as our whole company building. The claw was black, covered in scales, and every single scale was as big as a bus. The claw was slowly descending, pressing down toward our company building. The office erupted in cries of alarm. It's Hundun. Why is it here? We're screwed. We're screwed. We're screwed. I stared at that claw, my mind going blank. Then My phone rang again. World-ending threat detected approaching. It is recommended that rage value be released immediately. Release it now. I looked at the claw, getting closer and closer outside. Then, at the half-finished PowerPoint on my screen, suddenly, I wanted to laugh. After working overtime for 996 days, was I really going to die at the hands of a monster in the end? What did that count as? A workplace accident, right? Then, the office door was shoved open. The old security guard rushed in and grabbed me. Lynn, Fan, come with me. Now, where? To the rooftop. People from all the major sects are here. They want to see you. See me? Why? The old man looked at me. His expression complicated. Because the rage value on you is the only thing that can fight Hundun. The old man dragged me up to the rooftop. The moment the door opened, I froze. The rooftop was full of people. People in robes of every color. People standing on flying swords. People riding spirit beasts. People floating in midair. There were hundreds of them, at the very least. At the very front stood a white-bearded old man with the bearing of an immortal. Golden light glittered all around him. The old security guard whispered, Kunlun sect, Master Ching Suzi, Tribulation Crossing, mighty expert. When Ching Suzi saw me, his eyes lit up. So, you're Lin Fan? Yes. He looked me up and down, then nodded. As expected. Such heavy rage. A middle-aged Taoist nun beside him said, Sect Master, this person has no cultivation at all. Can he really do it? Ching Shuzi waved his hand. You don't understand. His rage is not ordinary rage. It is workplace resentment, accumulated over 996 days. This kind of resentment is the purest and most intense of all. Even the heavenly Tao has to give way to it by 3 parts. I was completely dumbfounded listening to that. So, you came to find me because we ask you to take action against Hundun. Ching Shuzi said seriously. I froze. Me. Fight Hundun. Me. An ordinary person who hasn't even reached foundation establishment. You have rage. Ching Shuzi said. That rage of yours is enough to destroy the universe. A mere Hundun is nothing. I fell silent. By then, Hundun's claw had already pressed above the rooftop. Its enormous shadow covered the entire building. Everyone looked up. Faces grim. Ching Shuzi looked at me. Lin, Fan, make your decision. I pulled out my phone and looked at the pop-up. Release rage value now. My finger hovered over the screen. Right then, my phone suddenly rang again. It was a message from the client. President Wang. The client's feedback on version 109 is back. They want one more revision. It needs more immortal aura. I looked at the message, then at the demonic claw above us that blocked out the sky. Suddenly, I laughed. Turns out, no matter how the world changes, a client is still a client. I took a deep breath. My finger tapped down. Remind me later. Ching Shuzi nearly fell over. What are you doing? I looked up at him. Let me finish revising the proposal first. Right now, the client is rushing me. I said, seriously, if I don't finish version 109, I won't get this month's performance bonus. Ching Shuzi's expression was amazing. The middle-aged Taoist nun beside him couldn't help saying, Are you insane? Hundun is about to crush this whole building. I glanced at her. So, what? I said, before Hundun crushes it. I'm sending out the proposal first. If Hundun really destroys the building, then, when the client asks, am I supposed to say, sorry, I got eaten by a monster, so I didn't have time to revise the proposal. The Taoist nun froze. Ching Shuzi froze too. Everyone froze. Right then, a world-shaking roar came from above. Hundun's claw began to press downward. The lightning rod on the roof bent. Cracks began to appear in the walls. People started screaming. I lowered my head to my phone and started typing. Lin Fan, President Wang. I'm already revising version 109. I should be able to send it tonight. Could you ask them to give me another half day? Sent. Then I looked up. Hundun's claw was less than 10 meters above the rooftop. Now, I raised my phone and aimed it at the pop-up. Release! Boom! A formless power burst out of my body. That power couldn't be seen or touched, but everyone felt it. It was rage, pure, intense workplace resentment, built up over 996 days. It shot into the sky like a pillar of light and slammed into Hundun's claw. Boom! Another earth-shaking roar. Hundun's claw was knocked away. That giant claw that blotted out the sky shattered into countless pieces instantly under the impact of rage, as if it were made of paper. Hundun let out a scream. It tried to run, but it was too late. The pillar of rage shot upward and pierced through Hundun's body. Pierced through it, just like that. Pierced straight through, like punching a hole through a sheet of paper. Hundun's huge body froze in midair. Then it began to break apart, starting from the inside, bit by bit, turning into nothingness in less than 3 breaths. Hundun, the world-ending great demon, was reduced to ashes and smoke. Silence fell over the rooftop. Everyone was stunned. Ching Shuzi had his mouth open, unable to say a word. The middle-aged Taoist nun's sword fell to the ground, and she didn't even notice. The old security guard's thermos slipped from his hand and rolled to my feet. I looked down at the thermos, picked it up, and handed it back to him. Sir, your cup. The old man took it, his hands trembling. Lin Fan. Yeah. Do you know what you just did? I thought about it. Let off a little steam. The old man was silent for a long time. Then he said, that little breath of yours erased Hundun. Oh, that was a world-ending great demon. 30,000 years ago. It took the whole cultivation world working together just to seal it. Oh, the old man looked at me with an incredibly complicated gaze. You're not excited at all. I thought about it, then pulled out my phone. The screen lit up. It was a message from the client. President Wang. Is half a day enough? Hold them off on my end. Take your time revising it. I replied with, okay. Then I looked up at the old man. Excited about what? I said, the proposal still isn't finished. The news of Hundun's destruction spread throughout the cultivation world. That same day, the name Lin Fan became a legend overnight. Did you hear? That Lin Fan wiped out Hundun in a single move. What single move? I heard he just glared at it. No. Hi, you both got it wrong. I heard he yawned and Hundun vanished. You're all wrong. I heard he wrote a PowerPoint and Hundun died from rage after reading it. The next day, I went to work as usual. When I got downstairs to the company, I found the entrance completely surrounded by people, all cultivators, people in all kinds of robes, people standing on flying swords, people riding spirit beasts. The moment they saw me, their eyes all lit up. Lin Fan is here. Senior Lin Fan. Immortal Lin Fan. I was surrounded in the middle and couldn't move an inch. Senior Lin Fan. I want to take you as my master. Immortal Lin Fan. Please enlighten me. Dao Sovereign Lin Fan. What's the name of that demon slaughtering technique of yours? Can you teach me? My head was about to explode. Move aside. Going to be late. Senior is still going to work. Yeah, the proposal still isn't finished. Everyone fell silent. Someone whispered, so this is the demeanor of a true expert. He erased Hundun and still goes to work. How calm is that? Another person said, what do you know? This is called tempering the heart in the mortal world. Senior is honing his Tao heart. Someone else said, no wonder Senior is so powerful. He killed a great demon and still didn't get arrogant. This is what a true expert looks like. Listening to all that, I thought, are you people misunderstanding something? But I didn't have time to explain because I was almost late for clocking in. I shoved my way through the crowd and ran into the building. A string of sighs rose behind me. Senior truly doesn't waste a single moment of cultivation. This is what a real cultivator is. In the elevator, the old security guard stood beside me. He looked like he wanted to speak, but hesitated. Something you want to say? I asked. Lin Fan, he said, carefully. You're already a legend of the cultivation world now. Have you ever thought about changing jobs? I thought about it. Changing to what? Going to Kunlun sect as an honorary elder, or founding your own sect with your fame. Now, anything you do would be better than going to work. I was silent for a while. Then, I pulled out my phone and showed it to him. The screen displayed the message ID just received. President Wang. The client is very satisfied with version 109. This month's performance bonus is doubled. The old man looked at the message and fell silent. After a long while, he said, how much is double performance bonus? Enough to cover 1 month's rent. The old man fell silent. Again, the elevator arrived. I walked out, then looked back at him and said, Sir, I know you don't understand what I'm thinking, but to me, doubling my performance bonus feels more rewarding than destroying Hundun. The old man froze. I smiled and turned toward my desk. Behind me, I heard his voice. Lin Fan, you're really a weird guy. I didn't even turn my head. I'm used to it. After Hundun was destroyed, the cultivation world entered a new era. In the past, everyone was busy cultivating, fighting, and fighting over resources. Now they had a new hobby studying Lin Fan's technique, Lin Fan's realm, Lin Fan's way of life, especially his way of life. The first to notice something was off was Kunlun sect Master Qing Shuzi. That day, he came to see me and watched me revise a PowerPoint for a full 3 shekin. Then he went back and entered seclusion for 7 days. After coming out, he called a sect assembly and announced something. Starting today, every disciple of Kunlun sect must write 1 cultivation reflection every day and hand it in to the sect. Everyone below froze. Sect Master, why are we writing that? You don't understand. Qing Shuzi had a profound expression. When I observed Lin Fan that day, I realized his Tao heart was unbelievably stable. Why? Because he writes PowerPoints every day. Writing PowerPoints tempers the Tao heart. So writing cultivation reflections works by the same principle. When you write them, you're reviewing your own cultivation and tempering your Tao heart. Everyone looked at each other, but the sect master had spoken. Who would dare not obey? So Kunlun sect began turning in daily reflections. Then came Qingyun sect. The Qingyun sect master was even more ruthless. He sent people to infiltrate our company and secretly learn the whole workplace system. After they came back, he announced, Qingyun sect is implementing a KPI evaluation system. There will be 1 evaluation every quarter. Those who fail will lose pills. There will be year-end ratings. Those with high ratings may enter the scripture pavilion. The sect will establish ranks like outstanding disciple, core, disciple staff, and central disciple, and promotions will be based on contribution points. The disciples exploded. Sect Master, what the hell is this? This is called the Workplace Cultivation System. The sect master looked smug. This is what Lin Fan uses to cultivate. You don't understand. This is the deepest and most profound technique of all. Then came Zixiao sect. The sect master of Zixiao sect invented seclusion KPI. Before going into seclusion, you must first write a seclusion proposal. During seclusion, you must write a seclusion log every day. After coming out of seclusion, you must write a seclusion summary. Only if you write it well will you qualify for your next seclusion. Fenyue Valley was even harsher. They launched a 996 cultivation schedule, 12 shichen of cultivation per Dalton Y. No, that's too little. Lin Fan works 12 shichen a day. Starting today, Fenyue Valley will implement a 996 cultivation schedule. Start at 9 in the morning. End at 9 at night. Cultivate 6 days a week. To cultivate immortality, you have to compete. If you don't compete, how can you ascend? For a while, the entire cultivation world was swept up in workplace culture, writing reflections, doing evaluations, setting KPIs, and pushing work hours. Every day, cultivators wailed in misery. I don't want to write reflections anymore. All my pills got docked. Why do I have to write a summary? After seclusion too. But they didn't dare resist. Because, according to legend, that's exactly how the strongest man of all cultivated, Lin Fan, the #1 grind king of the cultivation world. Half a year later, I had already been promoted from full employee to core staff. My overtime days had surpassed 1,200. And my rage value limit had tripled too. If I released all my rage value now, I could probably destroy 3 universes. That day, I was revising version 256 of a proposal. My phone rang. It was a message from the client, but this time it wasn't relayed through President Wang. It was from the client personally. Heavenly Dao. Hello, Lin Fan. I froze. Heavenly Dao. The heavenly Dao that supposedly governed the operation of heaven and earth. Lin Fan. Hello, Heavenly Dao. I've looked over your PowerPoint. Very good. Very full of spiritual energy. Very full of feeling. And very high-end at first glance. I thought, aren't those the exact words I used in version 109? Lin Fan. Thank you for the compliment, Heavenly Dao. But I do have one small revision note. My eyelid twitched. Heavenly Dao. The overall structure of version 256 is fine, and the details are in place. But it's missing a little something. Lin Fan. Missing what? Heavenly Dao. It's missing a bit of the flavor of Dao. I stared at the screen and fell silent. Dao. What the hell does Dao mean? Why don't you explain it clearly? Lin Fan. Could you be a little more specific? Heavenly Dao. If I were to be specific, I can't really explain it, but you get what I mean. Right. I get your mother, but I didn't curse it out loud because the other side was the Heavenly Dao. Lin Fan. Okay. I'll revise another version. Heavenly Dao. Thank you for your hard work. Once it's done, the operation rules of the entire universe will follow your proposal. I froze. The operation rules of the entire universe. They're going to follow my proposal. Were they making me the chief planner of the universe? I stared at the screen, my fingers hovering over the keyboard. Outside the window, the sunlight was bright. In the distance, cultivators flew past on swords. Downstairs came the breathing sounds of the old security guard meditating. Inside the office, there was only the sound of keyboards clicking. I took a deep breath and started revising version 257. 3 months later, the new universe officially went online. Apparently, the results were great. The Heavenly Dao was very satisfied, gave me a 5-star review, and said it wanted a long-term partnership. The cultivation world also adapted to the new order. Writing, reflections, doing KPIs, and grinding long hours became everyday life. Even though everyone still complained, no one dared say a single word of no, because, according to legend, that strongest man was still working overtime. That night, at 3 in the morning, I sat at my desk and had just finished revising version 308 of a proposal. My phone rang. It was a message from the old security guard. Old man, still working overtime. Lin Fan. Yeah, old man. You're already the chief planner of the universe. You're still pushing yourself this hard. I thought about it, then replied. Lin Fan. Used to it. Old man. You're really a weird guy. I smiled, set down my phone. Outside the window, moonlight flowed like water. In the distance, cultivators flew past on swords, swordlight cutting through the night sky. I withdrew my gaze and kept staring at the screen. The next proposal was due tomorrow.